Hey, everybody, and welcome to Pals Chat. I am Gina Parker. I'm here with my co host, Ashley Jones.
Yeah,
Uh, you can tell it's a late night record. All right, so Ashley Jones, what are you watching, reading, listening to?
I am watching Loot with Maya Rudolph on
That's a
Apple
goodie.
TV, and I really like it. Like on the first episode, I was like, "Oh, this is like stupid funny. Like they're just gonna make fun of billionaires and do all the stereotypes, and it's just gonna be that." And then hilarity ensues with like no like depth of character or actual like consequences, and then like it got deep. And I was like, "Whoa, that's really cool." Like, it surprised me that it got deep and real. You start rooting for the main character, Molly Wells. It's really neat how they do it. Like, you almost don't realize it's happening, and you're like, "Oh my god." Like, I no longer think it's funny that, bad things are happening to her because it's kind of silly how it happened, but I actually like care about this character and I'm invested in like what's going on and the what that means to that character. So I'm like into it.
And for the audience at home, it gets deep, but it doesn't stop being upbeat. Like, it stays pretty chill vibes throughout.
Oh yeah, it's not a downer at all. You don't go, "Oh my god, I'm now pulled into a drama," because that kind of like gets the heart racing. Like this is like still relaxing drama, but it gently touches on real feelings and realistic experiences, I guess. Even though like it's set in a story that's so ridiculous.
So the premise is it's kind of based on with the Amazon founder and his ex-wife who got billions of dollars when they split up and donated it to lots of charities. But I think the comparisons kind of stop there. It's basically a rich woman who has divorced her rich husband and is like, okay, now what do I do? But when I'm alone with all this money, and she decides to help out at a charity to I think the charity's somewhat dismayed, but they uh they learn to love her. Or do they? Watch and find out.
Yeah, watch and find out. No, I want to say that they do, just because I feel like that's not a big giveaway because it happens like in the third or fourth episode. The character really has this endearing quality of like, I'm wealthy, but I wasn't always, and so like she's reconnecting with like the person she was before all the money, which I thought was neat.
For mine, I'm trying to remember. I think you also watched Wynonna Earp, did you not? Or
I
am I
did,
confusing you?
I did, I loved that show.
Well, they had a movie come out today. a-
What?
And
Today?
yeah, and so I'll show the trailer for the movie
Awesome.
here. So you can kind of get a sense
This
of
might be my next watch. I'll just watch a movie incredibly slowly in very small parts.
Ah, you hit like a girl, hard and with perfect form.
What now, Earp?
Wynonna Earp, crazy chick with a demon-killing gun. Baby girl, did you get my postcard? What do you mean dead? What do you mean Earp? Here I come. How bad was it? So demons.
Business as usual.
Feels personal.
I need you to bring me the air.
All the demons I've ever killed coming for me.
I wonder why. When it comes to true heroes, Wynonna is the most genuine I've ever known.
We ride at dawn.
I shall be there.
Well, dawn-ish.
We need the Earp air home, even if it's a trap.
Especially if it's a trap.
You can't win!
History doesn't remember who played fair.
I didn't even get to cheat yet.
History only remembers who won.
Now it feels less like a reunion and More like a reboot.
Well, I'd like to reboot this demon and her coach.
I love it when they're like throw the word reboot in the movie.
Yeah, so from what I've gathered, the cast and creator are hoping to reboot the show on that streaming platform, which is Tubi. If you want to watch it, it's a free streaming service. So they're hoping to bring the show back if enough people watch, I guess. It was a fun watch. It was basically just like a really long episode of Wynonna Earp.
That's what it
But
looked like. It felt the vibe seemed very much like the show. I was like, oh, this is like a double episode or something.
that's basically what it is. They're trying to bring it all back. But yeah, it was a fun watch. All my children. So let's see. We're in July now. We don't have any brooch updates this week. I'll just tell you now. Did you have
I
any
was
new,
so looking forward to that.
did you
Uh,
have a new theory since we last talked a few weeks ago, I want to say?
you know what? It's been so long. I've totally forgotten what my prediction was. I remember. Oh yeah, there was like a family secret in the
Yes.
brooch.
Yes. Based on a photo.
Oh right, family secret based on a photo. You said it was thought
So
of as
soapy.
hokey,
So, soapy
soapy.
soapy.
Yeah. So somebody in the family married a relative or something, like sort of that way. But I'm like, is that soapy or is that like just drama? Like, I don't know. Is that an angle they would go to?
Could you tell that someone was married to their relative by looking at a stranger's photo? Like I mean, I've seen your family photos and you don't look like a lot of your family. So, I mean,
I temporarily forgot it was a photo. Like I was like a picture. Like what if it's a picture of the family tree and it like shows that people are like relate. I don't know.
okay, I see how you got there. All right. Okay, that's the theory
You
for
meant
this week.
literal photo. I was just like, oh, it could have been a picture of anything.
That yeah, you're right. It could have been the picture of a family tree. So that's your theory you're going with for this week.
That's the theory I'm going with this week. It's still so silly.
Okay, so this is Nerdy Alfred, who Liza broke up with when she says he tried to date rape her. I don't doubt it given how the stuff has been playing out, but she has made false rape claims before. So basically, he has a problem with her seeing Tad because, he's jealous that she's dating someone else mostly.
That's pretty average. Like, oh, I want you. You're dating someone else. Yeah.
Langley, who's in a shady business deal, and Langley is secretly trying to sell Phoebe's land to Palmer so he can get 100,000 in like a finder's fee from Palmer because Palmer's trying to build a computer factory on Phoebe's land. Phoebe would never sell to him if she knew it was him. Langley's trying to get the money so he can dump Phoebe, his wife, by selling her land secretly.
So there's a guy who wants to buy the land, and then the other guy is the lady's husband
Mm-hmm.
selling her land.
Mm-hmm. So that he can
Okay.
divorce her.
Wow. Ha, is he just pulling the whole like I'm the spouse, I can make this decision card?
Basically, his role is to cover up. So Palmer wants to buy the land. Phoebe doesn't want to sell to Palmer. And so he's like, "Oh, I have this other party that's interested in buying your land for a really good reason, and they'll give you lots of money and you'll be richer and all this stuff." So he's basically his role is just concealing Palmer's involvement
Mm.
because Phoebe holds the purse strings, and so Langley doesn't like that. He's a con man. who married her and got the money, but he has to live on an allowance.
Mm.
So now we have Brooke, who's the news lady, and this is Harold, her stalker. And so he's breaking into her office, leaving a note being like, hey, wear this certain necklace on the air. I want to see you wear it, blah, blah, blah. It was the 80s. It was easier to break into offices if you were a white man, I guess. And he's
Don't
hiding
they
out
have
there.
ID cards or something?
I don't see either of them wearing one.
That's true.
So he's there doing that. Harold the stalker has been trying to get a job at the news station so that he can further creep on her. And his buddy does not know he's a stalker, but he's like, hey, I know you want to work in the news, but there's other jobs out there. And so he decides to work here at the goalpost, which is where Brooke's husband, Tom, works and owns the place. So he's going to get a job as a waiter to further stalk Brooke.
Creepy.
Opal has been running in this election against Langley, Phoebe's husband, who's trying to leave her. And Phoebe is incensed that Opal is having a campaign rally at a business they both own when Langley's running for office and Opal's running for office. And so they're having a little fight about it. And I think we're getting up into the point where they're actually having an actual fight.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, could I have your attention for a moment, please? Obviously, just a moment. Obviously, this woman here does not know the meaning of the word fair. What? She is little better than a thief using my property for her campaign qualification. Now listen to me. Do not support this female provocateur. Don't be taken in by her plans. Listen to me. Nobody is going to throw me out of this as my own property. I'm going to stay here. Okay, you're asking for it now.
Fight continues under the table somehow. And so Phoebe, the one in the blue, she's one of the richest women in town, like legacy, one of those like my family came over on the Mayflower type people. So this is very degrading, I think, for her. But anyway, it was captured on the news because of all the cameras Opal ordered. So they have a fight. It breaks up. Harold gets the job at the goalpost. Brooke gets her note from Harold the stalker.
Oh, so she has no idea who her stalker is.
No.
Ah.
There we have Lars Bogard, and he's enemies with Palmer. Remember, they're fighting over Daisy, they're fighting over business. And so he's come to out the business deal. And so he lets Phoebe know, like, hey, Palmer's trying to buy your land. I guess he duped your husband because it's really him behind everything. And so Phoebe's like, well, then I'm calling the deal off.
Dun dun dun.
So that's where we leave things for July 12th.
Nice. That was very robust. That was a good story.
Yeah, a lot of things are happening in these 80s episodes. It's considered probably the best time for the show in the history of the show. That and the end of the 70s, which doesn't exist anywhere because of the fires, unfortunately. And it's also such a bummer because that site, Retro Soaps, was going to releasing all these new footage of All My Children, never before seen clips and episodes. Well, since their original airing, never before seen. And then their, YouTube channel got banned and they got thrown off and haven't really seen their clips pop up anywhere else. And it's like, come back, find another platform. Because otherwise it might be another while before we see anything. They're out there, those clips. We'll see them someday. So in the meantime, we have Tad and Opal. Opal is Tad's biological mother. She's complaining, she's not hearing from from her kids or getting any of their money, as you know. And then we have Liza. Liza sucks at this point in time. And she's mad at her friend Amanda for telling Alfred that she's dating Tad because he ruined their date previously. And then we have Langley who's scrambling here because he's basically trying to not let Palmer know that the business deal has fallen through until Palmer's $100,000 check clears so that he can still leave Phoebe, even if he doesn't get the land. And Harold's trying to get close to Brooke as being like a waiter at the goalpost. Oh, so we have Greg who's working to get out of the wheelchair so he can get back together with Jenny. And it's one of those classic miscommunications in soaps, which is basically he dumped Jenny so that she wouldn't feel burdened by his disability. Jenny thinks he broke up with her because he blames her for his accident, which is basically she was getting bullied, ran out into the catwalk. He ran after her and fell off the catwalk and hurt his back, and that's why he's in a wheelchair. And then we have Steve and Nina. They're going to see Brooke and Tom's new house, and Steve is furious with Nina because he's like, I'm never gonna want kids. Why do you keep trying to make marriage and kids happen? And it's like, you shouldn't have left your husband for this man, Nina, if you didn't know what he wanted.
It's very heavy.
It's a soap.
Oh, I know it's soap, but I was just like, wow, that's like a lot of things.
Uh-oh, because Phoebe sees Palmer and she decides to tell him she's not going through with the business deal. And so Palmer decides to cancel his check to Langley.
Aww.
What you get? Oh, and so the election's finally happening. They're voting for city council. Again, this is all about a city council race. But Opal is illegally trying to influence voters at the polls and getting called out for it. And then we have Tad. Tad's like, do you want to have sex with me or not? There's also a great clip in here, and I'm sorry, I can't find it, where she's like, yes, I want to sleep with you, but I want you to respect me. And he bursts out laughing. And it's just like, oh, Tad, what a dirtbag in these days. And he's like, are you serious? Like, but he's still handsome enough that he's got her. So,
Tan, what's also important to me is also tomorrow.
I don't understand.
Well, how are you going to feel about me?
What kind of question is that?
Well, I know it's old-fashioned and corny and everything, but it still means a lot to me.
I don't understand. You want to make love with me, don't you?
Well, I do. But I also want you to respect me.
You're kidding, right?
No.
Liza, I would respect you much more for being a real woman.
basically he can't go out with Liza to have their little sex date if he doesn't finish his homework because he's still a teenage boy. And so he tells Liza he's only gonna sleep with her if she lets him copy off of her old homework. And she agrees because he's that handsome, I guess.
Like her old homework, how old is it?
1 year.
Uh-huh.
So she's in college and he's actually like 19 or 20, but because he's like a teenage runaway, he had to redo some of high school.
See.
July 14th, So we're getting some episodes in a row here. Some continuous story. Palmer calls Langley and is like, I'm not paying you anymore. Mike comes to do some work on Erica's book finally, and they start working on it, but she's like, oh, I'm actually hosting a party. You'll have to leave. And then they fight about that.
You called me.
That's exactly his thing. Like, you made me finish my last book in such a hurry to start your book, and then this is what you do. So Harold comes by pretending to be helpful, even though he's worked at the goalpost for like an hour. Like, why are you coming over? But he's like, I'll help you set up your house. I'm not a crazy stalker obsessed with you. You know,
Yeah, as they do.
if someone who worked with your husband for about a day came by your house, what would your reaction be?
Who are you?
What are you doing here?
Well, because I'm not sure if my husband worked with somebody for a day that they would be mentioned in any kind of detail in like, hey, how was your day? And so whoever walks up to the door is gonna be like, hi. I'll be like, and you are, I don't know who you are.
And so Phoebe lets Langley know, like, oh, I had to confront Palmer. Sorry. She doesn't know about his involvement in anything. She just thought he didn't want her rubbing Palmer's nose in it, as it were. And Langley's still angling, but there's nothing happening there. So Harold the stalker is helping set up the house. And I mean, as someone who's just moved, I'm sure you'd appreciate the help, not from a stalker, but just in general, unpacking boxes.
True.
But then Brooke's old pal Benny and his daughter Dottie come by. And so it ruins anything Harold was planning because now there's more people to deal with. Devin and Cliff are still getting closer and closer. And another thing this episode is like Mark's trying to get people to come to his sister's party because basically Ellen asked Erica to sort out Mark's dodgy friends. And Mark's like, you can't be judgmental of my friends. You've never met them. And she's like, okay, let's have them over for a party. And Mark's like, crap, because Mark is a secret cocaine user
Oh boy.
and his friends all are all as well. They got him hooked on it. And so now they're all coming to Erica's house for the party.
Oh boy.
But Mike is mad at Erica right now because Mark is contradicting stuff Erica told him for the book, but it's because Erica kind of sees the world her own way. So she's like, my dad was the greatest guy in the world. And he's like, Mark's like, no, he's actually he sucks. And you'll find out just how much he sucks in 1993, but we'll get there. She gets into a fight with him. Chuck and Donna are star-crossed lovers of the 70s. They're deciding to spend time together now that they have baby Johnny, their little son, which is nice. That brings us to July 15th. They're waiting for the election results to come through. And there's press everywhere for the city election. Palmer and Daisy are going to have dinner with Steve and Nina, or at least that's the plan. It doesn't end up happening. Steve bails because he's mad at Nina for pressuring him into marriage and kids. So basically, Palmer has hated Cliff, Nina's first husband, from the jump. I think just because there was a good chance Nina would love Cliff more than she loved her father, because Palmer was weirdly obsessed with his daughter, but also Cliff never listened to him. Like, Cliff wouldn't take orders from him because he was his own person. And so Daisy is Nina's mother, and even though Palmer knows Daisy has slept with Steve repeatedly, he still wants Nina to marry this man and like destroyed Nina's marriage so that she would end up married to Steve. But Steve is not interested in marriage or kids. So here we are at Erica's party, and Mark's friend has, within minutes of the party starting, snuck away to do cocaine in Erica's bedroom. And he has left his cocaine vial because they were surprised when Erica walked in. The reporters are going to the Wallingford's house. They think it's to talk to Langley, but it's actually to talk to Phoebe about that giant public fight she just had with Opal, where they were under the table in front of news cameras. Tad gives his homework to his dad so he can go bang Liza.
Oh yeah, there's still that homework storyline. Oh my gosh, so they're watching themselves fight each other at home.
Well, Opal's watching it. She's proud of herself for getting into a fight. She's kind of a country bumpkin, as it were.
I
Phoebe,
see the really high front curly hair.
so Phoebe is lying here that Langley is off campaigning and doing his best for the American people and so on and so forth. And I'm just waiting. Oh, and there he is. He was in the swimming pool and he comes out to find reporters in his house. And it's revealed Phoebe is lying. He was never campaigning. He was just out in the pool. Like Liza wants to be wearing like a special nightie for her first time, all this stuff. And Tad is just getting increasingly annoyed with her. And he's clearly can barely stand her. He's just trying to have sex.
You're cute, but you talk too much.
So he just like keeps to putting the make on her. She goes up. What's his name's looking for his cocaine.
Oh yeah,
And
that.
and Erica has already found it and flushed it. And the only reason she didn't call the police was so Mark wouldn't be upset. And so Erica empties out the party. She confronts Mark, but she thinks it's just his friends. She's like, hey, watch out for your friends because you're the kind of person who's easily influenced.
Little does she know, it's already been influenced.
Exactly. And so Nina's all upset because Daisy's like, maybe you shouldn't marry Steve or have babies with him. But Nina doesn't know her mom's been banging her man for a while.
God.
So she doesn't know why her mom is so opposed. All right. So things are finally happening. They're finally about to sleep together. Exciting times. For Tad, at least. Where he plans to never talk to this poor girl again. But who's that at the door? Why, it's Marion Colby, Liza's missing mother. So, Marion Colby was a high society lady. Like, the Colbys are a high society family. And then Marion ran off with the pool boy or something for like a year. But she's come back tail between her legs, trying to be like, I want to come back to my family and society. And to cock block Tad, you know how it is.
Oh, I am getting overwhelmed by all the storyline. Trying to keep it straight.
And then Mark's wife comes and she's like, oh, what happened to the party? And Erica lies to cover for Mark because she doesn't think anything's going on at this point. Well, with Mark at least. Liza realizes her mother has returned, so she can't have sex with Tad. And, Tad, creep that he is not happy. He is like, I have had enough of this woman. So that's it for that episode. And then we'll talk about our last one, which is July 26th. So Mike is working on Erica's book. And so this is a couple weeks since the last episode we were just talking about. And Erica is there to snoop to see what exactly he is writing about her. And then we have Daisy. So Daisy has been in a love triangle with Palmer and Lars. And I don't know if you remember this, Ashley, but in previous episodes, they were showering her with tons of gifts, right? Like her house was full of flowers, and Palmer arranged for her to have a driver and all this stuff. Well, Palmer has had enough of the love triangle. So when Daisy was driving a car that he bought for her, he called the police and reported it stolen and had her arrested.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
one way to get rid of a girlfriend.
it's a real dick move. And he says he will not drop the charges unless she agrees to do what he says and stop dating Lars. So she agrees up until they get home, goes to the cop, has him drop charges, says, "You're riding home in the car with me." And Daisy's like, "Fine." And then as soon as they get out of the car, she lets him have it. Like, what were you thinking? Like, why did you think this would work on me? You psycho, which fair enough. And her mom called Lars and let him know what Palmer did. So Lars is coming out ahead in this one just by not doing anything at all. So meanwhile, we have Harold the stalker who has decided to lure Brooke to his apartment in the middle of the night. And he's basically like, "My landlord is being very unfair. The whole building has had problems, and please come over tonight so that you can get all the tenants while they're at home from work and interview them for the news." And so that's how he's trying to lure her to the apartment. Coincidentally for Brooke, after this phone call, she remembers, "Oh, one of my colleagues is doing a story at that exact apartment building, so I just won't go." But Harold doesn't know that, and he gets creepy. And so being Harold the Stalker is kind of a thankless role, but he does play weird, obsessed creep very well, where he's imagining she's just waiting, longing for him. And it's really a good performance. It's like he is unwell. So here, Tad has given up on Liza, and so he's now trying to sleep with another model at his agency. Mia Sarah plays her. It's Francesca, but Mia Sarah from Ferris Bueller's Day Off is the actress. Did you ever see that movie?
I can't remember it. I may have, or I may have just like pieced together famous clips.
So Cliff and Devin have been getting closer. They just shared a kiss. They're talking about what that means. Though I think Devin's mom, Ellen, is a little concerned. Like, he's fresh out of a marriage. Maybe he's not the best guy to, like, not that he's a bad guy, but he's not in a place to be your boyfriend type thing. Which, fair enough. Hey, maybe don't. Maybe don't with Cliff. Going back to Phoebe. Oh, and Tom's being so nice to Harold the stalker and being like, "Hey, you're homesick from work. This is a restaurant. I'll bring you soup." Just a very nice boss, especially for a guy who's only been there for like 2 weeks. So, yeah, Brooke ditches him, but then we have Phoebe and Langley. So, Langley and Opal both lost the election. They
Oh,
lost it to a normal man,
okay.
unlike those two weirdos. And so Phoebe wants to get past the election because she's taking it harder than anybody for some reason. She's like, I want to throw a big charity gala with tons of expensive jewels. And Langley is very into that because, again, he's trying to get away from her. So he's like, let me just get one of these expensive jewels and run off. And, you know, that's his exit strategy.
Jam packed, man. Good
Any
recap.
thoughts?
I was struggling to keep up because, like, I feel like a lot of the other episodes we've done, it's been focusing on like one storyline, but now we're like expanding in these like really complex episodes.
Yeah, well, for a long time, all we had was Erica Fest. And
Right.
so it was just Erica scenes, it was just her plot line.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're getting into the actual stuff.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I think the 80s will turn into another type of Erica Fest, like 85 when we start talking about that, because there's almost no episodes of 85 in existence, except for what Retro Soaps posted. That was like one of the few episodes ever, never before seen. Come back, Retro Soaps. But other than that, I think it's a lot of like Erica and Adam Chandler, who we will meet soon enough.
All right.
Did you have like a favorite thing you heard about or least favorite?
I was a little creeped out by like the stalker guy,
Agreed. I would
and like
say,
kind of also creeped out by Tad, but like not really. It was more like, whatever I gotta do to get laid. So I guess it's not that weird.
yeah, he's not weird. He's just a jerk.
Right. Okay.
That's years away. So, MVP of the week for me is Phoebe, just for the sheer entertainment of her getting into a fight under a table at a campaign rally for city council of all things. Like, Phoebe, you're
That was
always
aired
at
on
a
the news.
yeah, that was aired on the news. Like, you're always at a 10, girl, and I respect you for that. All killer, no filler, you know? And LVP of the week is Harold for being just Harold. So, Harold the Stalker.
All right.
So, all right, everyone, like, subscribe, comment,
Buy
email
our
us at,
merch.
yes, email us at amcrewatch@gmail.com. Our merch, the link to our merch is in our show notes for this episode and every episode that we started selling merch. So,
It's
um,
cool stuff, man.
yeah. All right. Thank you, Ashley Jones. All right. Well,
Well, bye.
bye. Thank you for listening. Our theme song is Wouldn't It Be Nice by Sound Mirage featuring Lady Rand. Please rate and review, download, subscribe, all the things. And you can email us at amcrewatch@gmail.com. Thanks. Talk to you next week.